Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of July 23rd, 2023. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boys, this is a very special time. And so, even though Mercury is the main power player this week, making some key celestial connections now, I am going to start with the fact that as we begin this week on Sunday, it is Chiron that will go retrograde. Chiron is considered an asteroid and it represents the wounded healer. Chiron, of course, is the very famous mythological centaur, a teacher to the ancient gods of Greece. And it was Chiron that, in his sincerity, in his openness, sort of left himself vulnerable to the impulses of Aries, also known as Mars, for one of his random arrows to hit him in the thigh. It was through walking that pain, feeling it, and knowing that it existed, that the gods took pity on him and were able to help him to transcend that pain and become a constellation in the sky. I've always looked at Chiron as a path to our immortality. What I mean by that is, of course, we are finite beings, right? Some of us get to be in this incarnation longer than others. I think I've said so many times, because I've been saying since I was a little girl, I'm going to live till I'm 150. I really believe that. So I'll meet you there. But still, this incarnation is finite. It is, of course, something else within us that is immortal, some spirit. And very often that spirit comes forward when we make a contribution, when we do something that people remember. It is said that anytime someone speaks your name, anytime it is that you are remembered, you continue to live. Now, I'd like to think of that as not just about a specific person and a specific incarnation, though we can think of it that way. I'd like to think of it also as an energy. Those who came, who gave love, anytime we remember love, it's like they continue to live. Those who came and tried to impart wisdom, tried to give us examples of what it is to move through pain and come out on the other side having gained something from it. Part of what we might gain is just self-respect, and that's a lot. But it is with Chiron that what he gained was light, right? He became a shining constellation in the sky, impressive and always there. And so I've always thought of Chiron as you, if you can, tap into that energy. It can show you the way, yes, to where vulnerability is, and that's not always easy. But it's almost like we feel like this is vulnerability that we have to overcome in some way. It's like we have to go here. And right now, as a collective, with Chiron in the sign of Aries, we are understanding competition differently. We're understanding personal power differently as well. And we're being invited to heal lower forms of expression, of how we're going to wield power, and instead to raise our sights, to think about power differently in a way that also brings healing. It is those that wield power, but also those who are at the mercy of power, all whom need this energy of healing and this energy of wisdom as well. And so, yes, in the sign of Aries, this is special times. It's about owning our power, but also knowing that there's something within us we can trust. And where it is that there's doubt as to whether or not we can truly trust some impetus, some spark within, it is Chiron now that's bringing healing to that part of us, helping us to know that we've got to trust that spark. We've got to go where it is that we feel inspired to go. Because not only will it likely be very good for us, but chances are it becomes part of how it is that we are remembered in a more meta sense, with what we cultivate within ourselves and leave an amplification of that energy over the course of this incarnation and beyond. but also perhaps more specifically as well, how it is that people might remember us in this incarnation and the good that we did. Now, Mercury is an active principle this week, helping us to really connect that much more deeply with Venus retrograde lessons as well. So, Mercury, as we begin the week, is in the sign of Leo, part of the sky, and an energy that speaks to healthy confidence, healthy ego. It speaks to valuing something within yourself and within your heart. Leo, along with Aries for that matter, both are fire signs. And so fire energy tends to be very creative. It is the spark of life, if you will, but it's also the spark of self trust that is emphasized now with a sky like this. As we begin the week on Sunday, Mercury will align with Uranus in a conversation of tension. And I find this energy rather interesting. So it can suggest out of nowhere events and insights that take place. It can suggest perhaps some information or a way in which someone communicates that feels like it leaves our ego feeling vulnerable in some way. It can be erratic expression from someone that we didn't expect, or just news that we have to kind of scramble to address, in some cases, very quickly. However, this is also the energy of genius. It is the energy that unlocks creativity. There may be some tension, but it is because of that tension and working with it that we're able to unleash this sense of new ideas, thinking, as they say, outside the box, thinking in new ways. And it is in thinking in new ways that we then recognize different opportunities, whether that opportunity is to be ourselves that much more fully, to be in our joy, all very Leo attributes, or whether that is something that we can translate in other ways towards our professional growth, for example, towards whatever it is that helps us to shine, that part of us that knows that we are worthy to shine and be seen. Well, we might just get that chance in an instant. And I think that as a collective, this can be very erratic surprise moments where people just might get that chance in a way that captures the attention of a lot of people very quickly. It feels like it's been a little while since we had like videos really going viral. Just because of TikTok, it can feel like those viral moments, they just move so quickly that it feels as if something that reaches a lot of people doesn't really have a chance to be a cultural phenomenon in the way that was true not that long ago, let's say 10 years ago, for example. And so now we're just so used to such a faster pace that something might capture our attention, but then just as quickly, the next day, it feels like there's something else getting our attention. Well, with Mercury square Uranus, there just might be a very notable moment of an expression, a creative prompt shown to the world is able to reach a lot of people very quickly, but also capture the collective imagination, able to hold as a cultural moment. Now, by hold, I mean perhaps for just a moment. And yet, there is something notable now about how it is we're considering things very differently, how expression is coming forward, how creative people can be, and how that can serve as an entertaining or interesting moment for more of us at the same time than perhaps we're normally used to. It is Thursday, though. That is kind of a magic day. And I say that because we've got Mercury meeting Venus in the sky. And this represents an important moment as part of the larger Venus retrograde season. It is Mercury meeting Venus that brings insight. It brings understanding. It is a light bulb, if you will. Venus meeting Mercury is a chance to raise the vibration. Venus retrograde, well, that can be so oriented towards passion, which is lovely. It's a lot of fun. Romance can be a lot of fun. And yes, it's Venus retrograde. So maybe shopping on things that are ultimately maybe, I don't want to say frivolous, but yeah, it just might be fun stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you have it, enjoy it. It's all good. But we get these moments where we're invited to go deeper, to remember what Venus retrograde is really about. And ultimately, when Venus goes retrograde, it invites us to go in and to look at what love is for us and how we can show ourselves greater love, what faith we can show in love. With this Venus retrograde, that faith is found in the center of the heart. It is found within that much more. Think about this. The experience of Leo and love is very different than the experience that we find in how Libra can speak to love or Scorpio can speak to love. Libra orients around sharing. It's the give and take, it's partnership that becomes a part of love. It is Scorpio that is about vulnerability, real intimacy, and how that can be a transformative experience. But it is Leo that's a lot more about what it is that you need to feel loved, where it is that your heart is opening or lighting up in some way, how it is that you express your more romantic side. It's not so much about how you are sharing or exchanging energy. It's a lot more rooted in an understanding of what it is that you are needing, what you're sharing, what feels good to you to do. And that's why this energy can be associated with passion as well, especially where it's rooted within and where it is that you are tapping into this moment, the blessings of this moment where Mercury meets Venus. Well, this is about understanding. That understanding and conscious choice to direct the energy within ensures that you use this Venus retrograde season wisely and make the most of it. The next day on Friday, Mercury will change signs. This is important, I will tell you. Mercury moves into the sign of Virgo, and normally Mercury will move through a sign for about 3 or 4 weeks per year. However, the retrogrades turn this on its head, and that's what we have now. Mercury isn't retrograde yet. Next week we'll go into shadow though. And so as Mercury steps into the sign of Virgo, is going to be here for over 2 months. All of us are going to get a chance to understand the energy of expertise and also what is worth doing repeatedly, day in and day out. It's also about the details, being very mindful of those more finer points, if you will, and how it is that those finer points ultimately end up strengthening you, building something forward from there. So Mercury is mind, communication, but in earth signs, it becomes a lot more about embodied ideas and wisdom as well. But in the sign of Virgo, now this is the sign that Mercury most likes to be in, according to the ancients. And this is really where we're able to appreciate those very nuances that help us to make decisions that much more consciously, that help us to really look at what it is that we are doing well, what it is that we're dedicating ourselves to, where it is that we're building mastery. It will be next week that Mercury will enter shadow. It will be the second part of August that Mercury will officially go retrograde. Mercury will go direct in the middle of September and will leave shadow at the very end of September. We're going to move into October with Mercury in the sign of Virgo on fresh territory and then leaving this part of the sky. And so we've got a nice long stay. Get comfortable with this energy. I think this is going to give us a chance to examine that much more deeply our own lives, our own habits, and our own rituals as well, ensuring that we strengthen those that emphasize where it is that we truly desire to experience and cultivate mastery, decided for on our own. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It's a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. Well, I am going to say I love the fact that Chiron is going retrograde. Whenever it is that a planetary body goes retrograde, it invites us to go within, to own that energy that much more fully. And it is when Chiron goes retrograde that we are that much more bold with Chiron in Aries to look at those things that have hurt us, perhaps going all the way back to childhood, moments that left us feeling vulnerable or exposed, and to look at the real opportunities that could be there by finally looking at it with depth and with nuance and understanding. It isn't about excusing anything that happened. It's about understanding that this is about your journey towards greater love, and certainly with Chiron towards greater wisdom as well. And so, what needs to happen for you to embrace that journey? Well, a part of that is going to be going within. And there you will find the tools to bring forward a self that you can feel good about, someone courageous, as it is that you work through those very vulnerabilities and in the process, find your immortality. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for it. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShawSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week for as low as just $3 a month. Would choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShawSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has some incredible programs coming up this September, and I am thrilled to announce this very special speaker series this September 2023. Wow, I just feel so excited about these classes, especially because we have a really big dog. This is very special. It is going to be the legendary astrologer, author of Cosmos and Psyche, the one and only Richard TARNAS, one of our living legends, who's actually coming to teach a class live at Synchronicity University. This is so special. This is a class that I know a lot of people out there are not going to want to miss. Cosmos and Psyche is such a brilliant book, and it looks at these key moments in history, and it looks at Uranus and the role that Uranus played in the lives of so many people who ended up making such an impact for all of us out there. But also, it is Richard TARNAS who's just brilliant. He is an academic. That is his background. And he has written influential works. And this really is somebody that I know. I mean, I remember way back in the day as a student in university, actually attending one of his talks during the winter break here in Toronto. And I was just so excited, and I was really nervous as well. And it was in 2012 that I actually got a chance to interview Richard TARNAS, and it was just such a brilliant interview, an interview that a lot of people saw right out of the gate, going all the way back to 2012. And now here we are years later, and Richard TARNAS is coming to Synchronicity University. So don't miss this chance to check out one of our living legends. Choose Your Tuition rate is on now, as low as just $5 a class. This really is probably the only time you're going to get to learn from Richard TARNAS for this low a rate. So check that out. That's one thing. But we've got incredible speakers, other amazing speakers as well. Now, they include my dear friend Jen ZAHRT, another brilliant academic, and her class is going to be oriented around Mercury and understanding Mercury cycles and transits. And she is such a wonderful person to teach this because she brings this depth of knowledge, but she also has such experience being out there in the community and as a teacher and a speaker. I think lots of people are going to get so much out of this class. And given that Mercury will be in the energy of Virgo, exalted as the ancients called it, it's a wonderful time to dive into understanding Mercury that much more. KASSIA KRISTOFF is someone that you have seen on my channel before. You have seen her at Synchronicity University before, and now she is back. She's going to be teaching about critical degrees in the zodiac. And this is so valuable in bringing that much more depth and nuance. And during my interview with her that should be publishing in the coming days, she talked about how every sign is its own journey. We think about the entire zodiac being a journey, but the signs are as well, and each degree means something. And when that journey starts and when we get to the culmination of that journey, it is incredibly important. So she's going to be touching on all of that, helping you to understand critical degrees in your own chart. Right now, we have critical degrees very notably activated thanks to Pluto hanging out at the end of the sign of Capricorn and also moving in and out of the sign of Aquarius. So that is something that we actually talked about in our interview. So be on the lookout for that. And my friend Nathalia Maria. Now, Nathalia is a brilliant astrologer. I love her so much. I had a chance to get to know her in my recent 3 months that I spent in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. She's such a special soul, but also she's just a really good astrologer. And so I was very enthusiastic to have her come to Synchronicity University to teach and to share how much it is that she knows. Natalia will be teaching a very popular topic. I know lots of people are going to love this, looking at the mythology, the Greek mythology behind the 12 signs of the zodiac. And this is going to help you to learn and appreciate that much more what your sign might be, what other people's sign might be, because ultimately all of us are living out a mythology. These stories of these ancient sacred energies ultimately are our stories. It is these sacred energies that are in us, and we bring them forward. We build on those stories through our own lived experience, through our decisions, and through our lives. Knowing these myths, I think, is foundational to making the most of your chart and also of this lifetime. So, whether you're just looking at sun sign or any planetary placement in your chart, understanding the mythology behind the sign that planet might be in brings that much more depth to your understanding and your readings as well. This is going to be very insightful class. And finally, I am back at Synchronicity University. I am stepping in and I will be leading this September speaker series. I sort of filled in last minute, but I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this. And this is a check-in. Pluto and Aquarius, so far, how's it going for you? I know that there have been a gamut of experiences out there. It is a transition and rather intense. For the collective, yes, but I really want to focus on the individual journeys in particular. So I am going to be going through the different house placements of Pluto in Aquarius. And how is it that we can actually be more proactive with this energy? How can you embrace this energy in a way that helps you to actually make the most of it so that you don't feel like you're just sailing along the winds of fate, which tends to happen with Pluto, but it doesn't need to. We can trust a kind fate, but there are absolutely ways that we can use this energy to our advantage. And that's something that we are going to be talking about together. And again, I'll be going through the different sign placements for the ascendant, different house placements. And I think that is going to help you to understand how this energy is speaking to you that much more personally in your chart. So you can see here we have an incredible lineup this September speaker series at Synchronicity University. You have a very limited time to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate for this caliber of astrologer. I mean, just to learn from Richard TARNAS, that is a big deal. And I am just so grateful for his trust. I'm so happy that he's going to be with us this September. And I know that so many of us are going to get so much out of his talk. He really is one of the more and most, I would say, brilliant minds in astrology alive today. And I don't say that lightly. He really is one of our living legends, someone to check out. Links are in the description below, or go to synchronicityuniversity.com. And thank you. I will have more programs launching this week at Synchronicity University. I hope that you'll check that out. I've got a very big announcement happening this coming week as well. It has to do with a live event. That's what I'm going to say. And I hope that you'll check that out as well, whether you're joining us online or in person. Again, the details are forthcoming, and I look forward to being out there and connecting with more and more friends, fans, and superstars. So be on the lookout for that as well. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you know right away when there is a post letting you know what's going on, because the upcoming programs and announcement you really don't want to miss. Very special learning coming up ahead, not just at Synchronicity University, but in all kinds of ways, astrologically and more. Thank you again for watching. I'm so grateful for you. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.